So welcome to my review of Fire Emblem Three Houses, created by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo. The 15th in the Fire Emblem series. That's kind of crazy. One of my favorite Fire Emblem games of all time, I have to say this, is Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I absolutely love this game on the GameCube. So when the new game was announced for the Nintendo Switch, I was quite excited. I was looking forward to finally, after 10 years, playing Fire Emblem on a console once again. I've enjoyed the 3DS games, but I was ready to play it on the television and have that real Fire Emblem experience like I did in the past. And how is this game? It's really good, and there's a lot to get into. There's so many subsystems within this game. I won't be able to talk about all of them, but I'm going to talk about the generalness of the entire game. I'm also going to say this is a no spoilers review, so I'm going to be very careful talking about the story and showing a lot of the advanced gameplay later on, and I don't want to ruin a lot of the classes and things like that. So let's start at the beginning. You can pick Japanese or English voice acting. I want to say this, in most games I always pick the Japanese voice acting. I just prefer it. I just enjoy that. I did something very unusual in this game. I started playing the game and I was like, well, for the review I need to listen to the voice acting for the English. So I restarted the game and I started listening to the English voice acting, and I gotta say, I'm absolutely impressed. Usually, the English voice acting in a lot of games can leave me a little bit going, geez, that's not too hot. I gotta say, they did a really remarkable job here.
I'd be happy to show you around. It really is Fódlan in a nutshell. The good and the bad.
Like it or not, we'll be there soon enough.
I think all of the actors did a bang-up job. I really believed these characters, and I really got sucked into the dialogue and the world setting from it. To start off with, you can pick your difficulty, normal or hard mode. There's also casual and classic mode. Classic mode is if any of your characters die, they're gone forever. And that's a tough position to be in, especially when you've been leveling up a character for a long period of time. You bring them on the battlefield and they die. It's done for good. Where in casual mode, the battle will end and you still retain all of your characters, even the ones that have died. That's a very handy option to have. You can pick a guy or a girl character to begin with, and then here's the big moment in the game. You go to a monastery, you become a professor, and you have to pick one of three houses to command and to teach. There's the Black Eagle House, the Blue Lion House, and the Golden Deer House. I personally picked the Black Eagle House. Edelgard is my main character. I absolutely love her. In the later on bits in the game, she is such a beast, and I really had a lot of fun. But here's the thing. Say you pick a house and you're like, wait, I want to use another character. You can, so don't worry about that. You can recruit other characters from other houses later on in the game. Now, this was one of the bits in the game I was most concerned about, was becoming a professor and teaching at the school. I remember seeing a lot of the early gameplay of this, a lot of the cinematics, and I was like, wait, what is this, Harry Potter? Have they turned Fire Emblem into Harry Potter? I'm one to jump a little bit fast at times on some visuals. And I want to say that there's an aesthetic of that, but in the gameplay, it's completely different than that. And a lot of the gameplay here, while you're in the monastery, reminds me of Persona, yes, in that you're creating social links with your house at all time and all of the other members of all the other houses. Now, this is where it becomes a little complicated to explain, so bear with me. You're a professor. You're teaching your students, you're giving lectures, you're talking to your students, you're building up bonds with your students every single day. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. So one day you might have a meal with your students to strengthen your bonds. Other days you give lectures or give advice. Some students come to you with questions and you have multiple choice answers, and depending on how you answer, depends on how much of a strengthened bond you get with that particular student. You can also instruct instruct your students one-on-one and increase their weapon proficiencies. You can take certain students down to the church and have them do singing. Yes, you will sit there and sing with your students. This is a thing that happens, and it's pretty cool. Also, another way to strengthen your bonds with your students is to send them to the stables and have them clean everything up. And what happens from that is your group comes together and levels up. All of the weapons level up. At this point, I really can't stress something to you enough. This is really evident throughout the game, and for any of you who are about to play it, this game is a reward system all of the time. No matter what you're doing, it's rewarding you constantly. You talk to a student, you level up, you gain experience, you get a professor level that will level up as well. And you can increase that by going and doing some gardening. You can do some fishing. As you can see in this monastery, there are so many things to do. You can go on quests for students, go on quests for faculty, go on quests for the heads of the school, and you can just run around the entire school all the time just doing this stuff. But there is a time limit. You're given 1 month to do all of this stuff. So in that month, you're completely free to do anything you want. You can go and interact with your students, increase your bonds there. You can go on quests. You can go to the marketplace. You can buy weapons, forge weapons, repair weapons. You can send flowers to certain students, or you can just rest and take it easy. And some weapons will get restored in this resting process. Now, the one thing that I really suggest you do within this month, because it's really easy for the month to go by and just interact with students and, level up classes and all that kind of stuff. But what you should really be doing as well is battling. There's optional battles you can pick. At the end of the month, there's always one battle you must do to forward the story. But within that month, there's battles you can do just to level up. And I suggest you do that. I did that so many times in a given month. I would try to do 2 to 3 extra battles just to level up my characters. And that gets us into something else. I just kind of briefly mentioned it, is at any time you can change the classes of your characters. So you can level up. You're always gaining a level, but through that, every 10 levels, you can change the class. So there's a beginning class, an intermediate class, there's an advanced class, and a master class. You can't just get the classes though. You have to reach certain requirements and certain proficiencies within those classes. So say you want to unlock Dark Knight from the master class. Maybe you need to work on your horse riding skills and your land skills. And now we get into the meat and potatoes of any Fire Emblem game, the combat. How is this combat? It's quite addictive, and for anybody who doesn't know, Fire Emblem is a strategy RPG. So it's an RPG in that you control all of these characters, you get to explore their storylines, but there's a huge emphasis on combat in this game. And you always start out on a brand new level, and you can move your characters anywhere based on their particular movements. You have many different types of characters on the battlefield. You have archers, you have paladins, you have sword users, axe users, lance users, magic users. There's a lot of different characters here, and as I said earlier on, you can change their classes, you can change their weapons, you can enhance their weapons, you can forge better weapons, and you can repair weapons. Also, bear that in mind that any of the weapons have a certain amount of times you can use them, but after a battle, you can always go into town, into the marketplace, and have them repaired. So it's not that big of a deal in that regard. One thing you can buy and use in combat at any time are gambits. You can get these at the marketplace, and any character can use a gambit. And what that is they're battalions. You can recruit characters to come in and fight beside your main character. So a magic user may have other magic users around her who shows up to cast certain spells to heal certain characters. Other characters will charge into battle, and their battalions will charge as well, or they'll just stand back and let the battalions do the battling for them. So you fight a lot of different style of characters in the game. Obviously a lot of bandits, there's the bad guys, which I won't get into, I don't want to ruin any of that. You will also get into mock battles with other houses to see how the school is doing and how the training is going. There is also monsters in this game, and Some of them are so cool, and I don't want to ruin too much of that, but there's some huge, gigantic creatures that you'll take on. And the thing about the monsters that I will say is that their hit points are like 3 full. So you'll take out their hit points the first time, take them to 0, it replenishes. You'll attack them again, and then it replenishes. Some of the battles are absolutely epic, and I can't tell you, there's been so many nights where I was so addicted to the combat in this game that I was like, just one more battle, and I'd be looking up at the time, I'm like, God damn it, what time? It's like 2 in the morning? I gotta go to bed, this is ridiculous. But the combat is absolutely engaging. And also, say your troops are on one side and you need to move them to the other side, but you're like, there's no enemies in between, you can just do auto battle. So you pick that, and it will move your troops over for you. You can pick what command you want. You can have your characters retreat, or have them move forward and charge. And then you can just switch out of that and retain complete control of your characters. So let's talk about graphics for a second here, the overall graphics of the game. Now, the one thing that I do want to say is the cinematics, the animation used throughout this game is second to none. I was blown away, and I just kept thinking to myself, oh my God, they invested a lot of money into this, because look at the animation. It is so clean, it is so fluid, it is so well animated. I was blown away by the animation in this game, and I really fell in love with the art style and the characters overall. I really loved the character designs in this game. Now, when we get into the graphics of the gameplay of the school, running around the school and stuff like that, it's not bad. It's not going to win any awards, that's for sure. It's pretty basic in that regard. But what I've always found with Fire Emblem, it's not about the graphical look. It's really about the gameplay. And there is so much gameplay here that you're so busy running around that you're just having a good time. And the graphics are nice enough. I found them very pleasing at times. But when you are running around, there's a bit of pop-up at times and things like that in the school. But nothing that you say, oh my God, this is terrible. I thought they were really pleasing. I really love the animation in combat. I always could make out who all my characters were and the environments. I was never confused about what's going on. You know, like I've been playing the 3DS games for the last 10 years, and sometimes I'm like, wait, is that troop? Where now when I can play it on a TV, I'm like, yeah, I can see everybody. But even in handheld mode, I had no problems differentiating my different troops. Okay, sound effects and music. We have some classic Fire Emblem sound effects. They're always wonderful to hear. The music is something that I really want to talk about here, is that it's been a long time since we've had a Fire Emblem game on a console again, and we really have a beautiful console soundtrack. I'm bringing it up. Fire Emblem has one of my favorite soundtracks in a Fire Emblem game. Three Houses is definitely up there. I love it when you're in combat and the music will change. The intensity of it will change depending on when your characters jump into combat and start doing their attacks. And you get so pumped up while you're in combat. It feels so good and it sounds so amazing.
I will win! One more success.
Now, this is a no spoilers review, but I'll say a tiny little bit about the story. If I was enjoying it, is it engrossing? Absolutely. It's really engrossing. I haven't fallen in love with characters like this for a very long time. And I was very unsure, I can't say that enough, about this whole school dynamic. I'm like, am I gonna enjoy running around a school, teaching students and being a mentor to them? Like, really? It's really fun and addicting. And you really fall in love with the characters and you really get a sense of the world. So you feel that you know everybody in the school. You know everybody, even the rival houses. You know the teachers. You get to know their storylines. And a lot of this revolves around the main storyline in this game and the main bad guys. And there's a lot of plot twists. There's a lot of things will happen. You'll say, I didn't see that coming. It's really good. You'll fall in love with these characters and this storyline. That much I can say. So as you can see, I've had a really good time with this Fire Emblem. I really think Intelligent Systems has put a lot of time and a lot of effort into making this a really amazing console version of the game, even though it can also be played in handheld, which is great. But I think they put a lot of love, a lot of time, and I think they've really done the Fire Emblem brand some serious justice and put this on the forefront of Fire Emblem games for me personally. And that's all I can speak up for, is for me personally. But for me, I'm going to say something crazy. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I'm also going to say this is one of my games of the year, and I'm going to justify that with this. This game is so addicting. Honestly, last weekend, it was one of the most beautiful weekends in Vancouver. Gorgeous weather outside, and I was in 12 hours a day playing Fire Emblem. My eyes were square from looking at the screen. But it was just, you just keep saying to yourself, one more battle, one more battle, one more battle. You can't get enough. It's very addicting and very rewarding right to the end. I think you guys are going to have a really good time. For anybody who's been on the fence going, oh wow, I don't know about this new Fire Emblem game. Let me say, it's a pure pleasure. And I was so happy to come in today and to be able to talk about Fire Emblem 3 Houses. So anyways, guys, until next time.